The stars stretched endlessly, scattered like diamonds across the void. The Galactic Council's flagship, Vaethra's Dawn, glided smoothly into the Sol system, accompanied by 3 elegant escort vessels. Their silver hulls reflected the distant sunlight, gleaming as though carved from liquid metal. For the Council emissaries aboard, this was supposed to be a routine journey. Every few decades, their fleets traveled to young civilizations to inspect their growth, record their progress, and decide whether they were to be guided, restricted, or, if necessary, absorbed into the greater structure of the Council. Earth was expected to be no different. According to the Council's ancient records, humanity had only discovered faster-than-light travel within the last century. By comparison, the Council's own member species had mastered it millennia earlier. To the emissaries, humans were still newcomers, barely standing upright on the cosmic stage. High Envoy Talon of the Serenth Dominion stood at the central viewing deck, his elongated frame draped in shimmering blue robes. His voice was calm, confident, almost dismissive. "Observe the planet," he instructed the younger delegates clustered nearby. "Its people have advanced faster than some, yes, but their history shows volatility, conflict upon conflict, struggle after struggle. Such species may shine brightly, but without guidance, their flame burns out." Several nodded. Others scribbled notes into their crystalline tablets. To them, this was a learning mission, a lesson in how the Council brought order to chaos. The ships passed beyond Neptune's orbit, sliding closer to the blue jewel of Earth. Yet what they saw did not match their expectations. Signs of a stronger world orbiting Earth were not a handful of fragile satellites, as the record suggested, but a network of orbital stations. Some spun slowly, ring-shaped and massive, clearly designed for habitation. Others were angular, bristling with antennae and docking arms, industrial in nature. Streams of smaller vessels moved between them in coordinated traffic patterns. Cargo freighters, patrol craft, and passenger transports darted through space with practiced efficiency. There was no sign of chaos, no sign of a world struggling to manage the stars. Envoy Talon's second, an insectoid scholar named Vrikal, clicked his mandibles in confusion. "This does not match our data. Their orbital presence is extensive, too extensive for such a young race." Talon waved a dismissive hand, his expression unchanged. "Do not be deceived by scale. These may be crude imitations of true engineering. Even a child can stack stones to resemble a tower." Yet a quiet tension rippled through the emissaries. They could not deny what they saw. Earth was far more prepared than expected. First impressions on Earth, the news had already spread. Humanity had been watching the alien fleet since it crossed the system's edge. Powerful telescopes and sensor arrays had tracked the silver ships with precision, relaying every detail to command centers below. In Geneva, inside a vast hall beneath the United Earth Council headquarters, leaders from every nation gathered before towering holographic screens. The alien vessels shone there, magnified and annotated, their movements traced second by second. President Elena Ross of the North Atlantic Union stood at the center, her voice steady. "They've entered the system without request, just as predicted." General Aaron Dev, commander of Earth's Defense Forces, gave a short nod. "They expect us to be impressed. They expect us to kneel." Around the room, the delegates remained silent, but their eyes held a quiet fire. This was not fear, it was resolve. Humanity had anticipated this moment, and far beyond Pluto's orbit, cloaked in silence, the TSV Dauntless waited. The visitor's approach as the alien fleet drew closer. It transmitted a wideband message. The voice was soft, melodic, carefully crafted to sound welcoming. "We are emissaries of the Galactic Council, bringers of peace and order. We come to guide your world toward harmony among the stars. Prepare a delegation for our arrival." The words carried authority, yet also a faint undertone, a command disguised as kindness. On Earth's orbital embassy station, Unity 1, the human delegation assembled. Scientists, diplomats, and military observers stood ready in polished uniforms, their expressions calm. The station itself was a marvel, large enough to host thousands, its halls echoing with the hum of advanced reactors and artificial gravity. When the alien shuttles docked, the first sight of humans greeted the emissaries. Not creatures cowering, in awe, but men and women standing tall, their eyes unwavering. High Envoy Talon felt the shift immediately. He had expected nervousness, stammering words, gestures of submission. Instead, there was composure, almost as if the humans had seen this before. The leader of the human delegation, Ambassador Marcus Hale, stepped forward. His suit was simple, his tone measured. "Welcome to Earth's orbit. We are honored to meet the Galactic Council." Talon inclined his head, masking his unease. "The honor is mutual. We are pleased to see your people rising into the stars. We come to offer guidance and protection." Hale's smile was faint, polite, but his eyes revealed nothing. "Humanity appreciates your visit. We are always open to learning." It was a dance of words, each side measuring the other, each testing the hidden depths beneath polite speech. Whispers of doubt as talks began. The emissaries moved through the station's corridors, guided by human hosts. They noted the technology, artificial gravity fields, advanced life support systems, and weapons carried discreetly by guards. Nothing here looked crude or temporary. Vrikal whispered privately to Talon through a secure channel. "They are not what the archives described. Their progress, it is unnatural." Talon frowned. "Perhaps they stumbled upon stolen technology. Such leaps are not unheard of. Still, they must lack the discipline to wield it fully." Yet even as he spoke, doubts gnawed at him. Every human he passed carried themselves with quiet certainty, as if none of this was new. The quiet confidence on. The observation deck, the emissaries were shown Earth itself. The planet glowed with blues and greens, its atmosphere alive with shifting clouds. From this vantage point it looked peaceful, but the emissaries' attention was drawn to the fleets patrolling in low orbit. Rows of sleek ships drifted in formation, smaller than the Council's escorts, but armed and disciplined. They moved with precision, a navy not of experimentation but of experience. "Impressive," Vrikal muttered, though the word carried unease. Ambassador Hale stood nearby, hands folded behind his back. His tone was casual, yet deliberate. "Earth has endured many hardships. We learned early that peace is not given freely. It must be protected." The emissaries exchanged uneasy glances. Humanity was not boasting, not showing arrogance. They were simply stating a truth, one that weighed heavier than any grand speech. The hidden shadow. What the emissaries could not see was the silent giant waiting at the system's edge. The dauntless humanity's pride drifted in the darkness beyond Pluto. Its hull stretched kilometers long, forged from alloys unknown to the Council. Weapon banks lined its flanks, dormant yet ready, each capable of tearing through fleets. The ship's engines thrummed with restrained power, and deep within, its crew waited with steady patience. The Council believed themselves the only power capable of projecting dominance across the galaxy. Soon they would learn they were not alone. For now, Earth kept the Dauntless hidden, its presence known only to a handful of leaders. Because humanity had learned something across centuries of struggle. Strength revealed too early is wasted. Strength revealed at the right moment changes everything. Closing of the first day. As the first round of talks concluded, the emissaries returned to their vessels. Talon stood once more at the viewing deck of Vathra's Dawn, gazing down at Earth. Something about this world unsettled him. It was not weakness he saw, but resilience. Not hesitation, but preparation. He whispered softly to himself, unheard by the others. This may not be the child's flame I expected. This may be something else entirely. The alien ships hung above Earth like silver giants, their smooth surfaces gleaming against the dark of space. To the ordinary people below, the sight was both terrifying and breathtaking. Cities stopped to watch the live broadcasts. Children pointed at the skies with wide eyes, and news channels debated endlessly about what the Council wanted. But in the halls of power, the mood was different. Humanity's leaders were calm. They had prepared for this. The visitors expected awe and fear, but Earth had no intention of bowing. The emissaries stepped forward inside the grand docking bay of Unity 1, the massive orbital embassy station. The alien emissaries disembarked. A stream of light followed them as they walked, their robes flowing, their alien features proud and majestic. At the front was High Envoy Talon, tall and graceful, his narrow face framed by silver markings that shimmered faintly. His movements were slow and deliberate, every step carrying the weight of authority. Behind him walked Vrikal, the insectoid scholar, his segmented body gleaming under the lights. Several others followed, each representing one of the Council's major species. The human delegation was already waiting. Ambassador Marcus Hale stood at the front, flanked by military officers and scientists. His dark suit was simple, his posture confident. There was no bow, no sign of trembling. Instead, Hale extended his hand in greeting. Talon hesitated for the smallest fraction of a second before placing his long, elegant fingers into Hale's palm. The handshake was firm, steady, and equal. "Welcome to Earth's orbit," Hale said, his voice calm and clear. "We are honored to host the Galactic Council." Talon's expression was unreadable, but his thoughts swirled. These humans did not act like the countless young species he had visited. There was no wide-eyed reverence, no stumbling words. Instead, there was composure. That unsettled him. The opening words. The two groups moved to the central chamber of Unity 1. It was a vast circular hall with transparent walls, offering a view of Earth turning slowly below. Lights from human cities sparkled against the night side, while the sun painted oceans and continents in vivid colors. Talon raised his voice, projecting it with a practiced smoothness. "Humanity, your world has drawn the attention of the Galactic Council. We come as friends, as guides. The galaxy is vast, filled with wonders and dangers alike. Alone, your people cannot hope to survive what lies beyond. But with us, you may walk the stars safely under our care." His words were practiced, rehearsed 1,000 times across countless worlds. Normally, young civilizations accepted such declarations with gratitude, but the humans did not react as expected. Ambassador Hale simply nodded, his face calm. "We appreciate your concern. Humanity has always faced challenges. We have endured storms, wars, and hardships. We are willing to listen to your words, but we stand on our own feet." A ripple of unease passed among the emissaries. Talon tilted his head slightly. "Do you mean to say you refuse protection? Surely you understand the scale of threats that exist in this galaxy." General Aaron Dev, seated beside Hale, leaned forward. His voice was steady, his eyes sharp. "We understand threats very well. Our history is filled with them. What we have, we earned through survival. We do not seek conflict, but we do not fear it either." The hall grew quiet. For the first time, the emissaries felt the weight of human words pressing against them like unseen armor. Private thoughts later. As the talks paused for a scheduled break, the emissaries retreated to their private chamber aboard Vaethra's Dawn. Vrikal clicked his mandibles in frustration. "They speak as though they are equals. This is not how new races behave. They should be begging for guidance, not declaring independence." Another emissary, a slender creature of pale light named Sereth, spoke softly. There is strength in their tone. They are not pretending. They believe every word. Talon remained silent for a moment, his gaze fixed on the glowing blue planet through the viewport. "They are unusual, but unusual does not mean dangerous. Still, I sense something hidden. They show us only what they wish to show." His words carried an edge of unease, though he tried to suppress it. A walk through humanity's strength to ease relations. The humans invited the emissaries on a guided tour of Unity 1. The halls of the station were wide and filled with activity. Scientists worked in labs, engineers moved through docking bays, and civilians mingled in cultural exchange areas. The emissaries noticed something. Everywhere they went, humans carried themselves with quiet confidence. They were respectful, yes, but not submissive. Even the soldiers standing guard radiated calm determination, as if daring any challenge to come. At one observation deck, the visitors were shown the fleets in low Earth orbit. Dozens of ships, sleek and functional, moved in precise formations. Though smaller than the Council's vessels, they were clearly well-trained and disciplined. "This is only part of our defense force," Ambassador Hale explained. His voice was gentle, but his words deliberate. "We believe peace must be guarded. Our world has learned that lesson many times." The emissaries exchanged looks. None of them spoke, but the truth was clear. Humanity was not defenseless. The mistake during a private discussion, One of the younger emissaries let slip a dangerous hint. Surely, when the Council accepts Earth into its fold, we will ensure your fleets are disarmed for stability. The words were not meant to be spoken aloud, and the emissary quickly silenced himself. But it was too late. The humans did not flinch, did not show anger. Instead, Ambassador Hale's eyes narrowed slightly and General Dev leaned back in his chair, his arms folded. Hale's voice was calm, almost too calm. We thank you for your honesty. It helps us understand your intentions more clearly. Silence followed. The emissaries realized their error. The mask had slipped. Human composure. Instead of panic, the humans showed something else. Quiet amusement. Later that evening, the human delegation met privately. President Elena Ross spoke through a secure holographic link from Geneva. So they reveal their true purpose. Annexation under the guise of protection. Ambassador Hale nodded. They think we are unprepared. They believe we are children playing with tools we do not understand. General Dev allowed himself a small smile. Let them keep thinking that. It only makes the reveal more powerful. The room agreed. Humanity had been underestimated many times before, by nature, by history, by itself. And every time humanity had risen stronger. The silent observation from the far reaches of the system, the TSV Dauntless continued to watch. Hidden by advanced cloaking fields, its presence remained a secret. Inside its command bridge, Captain Adrienne Vaux studied the reports streaming from Earth. She was a seasoned officer, her face marked with the calm lines of experience. They will test us, she said softly to her crew. The Council has done this to others, but this time they face humanity. Her words carried weight, filling the silent bridge with resolve. The crew understood. They were not just guarding Earth. They were shaping its future among the stars. The emissary's unease back on Vaethra's dawn. Talon could not rest. He paced across the chamber, his robe trailing behind him. They are not afraid, he murmured, not even cautious. It is as if they have already measured us. Freikel hissed in agreement. I do not like it. Their defenses, their fleets. None of it should exist at this stage. What else are they hiding? Talon stared into the darkness of space, his thoughts heavy. There is something beyond our sight, and I fear we may not be the ones in control here. The stage is set. The second day of talks began. Once again, the emissaries stood in Unity 1, facing humanity's delegation. But this time there was tension beneath the politeness. Both sides knew the truth. The Council had come not only to guide but to control. And humanity had no intention of being controlled. Ambassador Hale opened with steady words. Your presence here is not unwelcome. But understand this, Earth does not kneel. We will listen, we will speak, but we will decide our own future. Talon tried to smile, but it faltered. We shall see, Ambassador. We shall see. And so the dance of words continued, but the balance had already begun to shift. Humanity had revealed nothing yet, but their quiet confidence spoke louder than any weapon. Far beyond Pluto, the Dauntless stirred. Its engines pulsed softly in the dark, as if waiting for the moment when silence would break. The halls of Unity 1 were quiet as the third day of talks began. The emissaries from the Galactic Council sat across from humanity's delegation, their alien forms glowing, shifting, or glistening depending on their nature. Their words were polished, their voices smooth, but beneath the formality, tension coiled like a tightened spring. Everyone in the room already understood the truth. The Council had not come only to guide. They had come to measure, to judge, and if necessary, to bind Earth under their authority. But humanity did not bend. A dangerous exchange High Envoy Talon opened the session with practiced authority. Ambassador Hale, General Dev, representatives of Earth, the galaxy is full of powers far greater than you can imagine. Without the protection of the Council, your world is vulnerable. Our fleets shield hundreds of civilizations. Accept our guidance and you will share in that protection. Ambassador Hale folded his hands neatly on the table. His voice was calm, unshaken. Humanity does not seek conflict. But protection that demands submission is not protection. It is control. We prefer partnerships, not chains. The words struck hard, though Hale spoke them with steady restraint. Freikel, the insectoid scholar, hissed with irritation. You do not understand what you refuse. The galaxy is harsh. Without us, your species could be wiped away in a single war. General Dev leaned forward. His tone was sharp yet measured. And yet here we are, still standing. Our world has faced disasters, both natural and of our own making. Survival is our oldest teacher. Do not mistake us for helpless children. The emissaries exchanged uneasy glances. Their carefully rehearsed authority was beginning to crack. The unveiling of suspicion. That evening, after the talks ended, the emissaries met privately aboard Vaethra's Dawn. Talon paced slowly, his voice low but intense. They resist more than expected. They hide their fear well, too well. There is something else here. Frekal's mandibles clicked in frustration. I felt it in their tone. They know more than they admit. It is as if they are testing us. Sereth, the emissary of light, whispered softly. I sense no weakness in them. There is composure, a calm that does not belong to a young race. They are not afraid of us. The chamber grew heavy with silence. The emissaries had dealt with many civilizations before, but none had stood so firmly without showing cracks. Talon looked out the viewport at Earth, glowing like a jewel in the dark. We must probe further. If they hide strength, we will uncover it. The human calm meanwhile aboard Unity 1, humanity's leaders met in a secure chamber shielded against prying eyes and ears. President Ross's holographic form shimmered above the table, her expression stern. They will not stop. They came to judge, and if they find weakness, they will exploit it. Ambassador Hale nodded. They already believe we are hiding something. That suspicion will drive them to push harder. General Dev's voice was steady, almost amused. Good, let them push. The harder they press, the more dramatic the moment becomes when the truth is revealed. Captain Adrian Voss of the Dauntless appeared via a secure link from her command bridge. Her uniform was sharp, her posture unyielding. The ship is ready. We wait for your signal. Once we appear, there will be no doubt left in their minds. The room fell quiet. Everyone understood the weight of that moment. The reveal of the Dauntless would not just be a display of technology. It would be a message carved into the fabric of galactic politics. The spark on the fourth day, the emissaries made a mistake. During a heated exchange, Vrykul demanded access to Earth's defense networks for inspection. No true ally would deny the Council a view of their fleets. If you refuse, it will be seen as secrecy, as defiance. Ambassador Hale did not flinch. He stood, his voice firm. Earth owes you no proof of loyalty. We welcome friendship, but not commands. The room froze. The emissary's pride had been challenged openly. Talon's voice hardened. Then perhaps your world is not ready to join the galactic community. Perhaps your people require enforcement of order. For the first time, a shadow of threat touched his words. The council had revealed its intent. General Dev's lips curved into the faintest smile. He leaned toward Hale and whispered, though loud enough for the emissaries to hear, "It seems the moment has come." The signal far beyond Pluto's orbit, the TSV Dauntless stirred. Hidden beneath layers of cloaking fields, its engines rumbled awake. Power surged through its colossal frame. On the bridge, Captain Voss gave a single command. Unveil. The ship's cloak shimmered, then fell away. Suddenly, the Dauntless appeared on every council sensor at once, a giant of steel and fire. Its hull stretched for kilometers, bristling with weapons banks and armored plating. Its engines burned like stars, casting a glow into the void. For a brief second, the galaxy itself seemed to hold its breath. The wordless moment on Vaethra's Dawn, alarms blared. The emissaries rushed to the viewing deck, their eyes wide as the massive Terran battleship appeared on the edge of the system. The ship was larger than anything they had expected from a species so young. Larger even than many council warships. It was not a vessel built for show. It was built for survival, for victory, for endurance in wars long and brutal. Talon's voice faltered for the first time. Impossible. This cannot be. The emissaries stood frozen, their words stolen. The humans had not bluffed. They had not exaggerated. They had hidden a power that defied every record the Council held, and now that power stood revealed. Humanity speaks back in the hall of Unity 1. Ambassador Hale received the news through a discreet earpiece. He turned to face the emissaries, his expression calm, almost serene. You asked for proof. Here it is. General Dev activated the holoscreen. The Dauntless appeared in full scale above the table, its outline stretching across the display. Humanity does not seek to threaten, but we will never be unprepared. We endured our world's harshest trials. We will endure the galaxies as well. The emissaries were silent, their confidence shattered. For the first time, they looked at humans not as children, but as equals. The demonstration moments later, the Dauntless gave a controlled display. At Captain Voss's command, the ship fired a volley of precision beams at a derelict asteroid drifting near the system's edge. The rock, large enough to level a city if it struck Earth, shattered into dust within seconds. Not a single fragment drifted off course. It was not aggression. It was precision. It was control. The message was clear. Humanity's power was not chaotic, not desperate. It was disciplined, deliberate, and ready. The visitors trembled back aboard Vaethra's Dawn. Talen's hands trembled slightly as he gripped the rail of the viewing deck. All this time, he whispered, they built this in silence, while we believed them fragile. Freikel's mandibles clicked nervously. They outmaneuvered us. They watched us, prepared for us, perhaps even expected us. Sereth's luminous form flickered, its voice faint. If this is what they reveal, what else lies hidden in the dark? The emissaries, once proud and commanding, now stood wordless, staring at the battleship that glowed like a second sun in the system. The quiet victory on Unity won. Ambassador Hale ended the session with calm finality. We welcome cooperation. We welcome friendship. But Earth will never surrender its freedom. Remember that as you speak to us. The emissaries could only nod, their pride broken by the sight of the Dauntless. Far beyond, Captain Voss stood on her bridge, eyes steady. The galaxy has seen us now, she said softly, and they will never see us the same way again. Closing of Part 3. In the silence that followed, the emissaries sent urgent reports back to the Council. The verdict was clear. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was not to be absorbed. Humanity had arrived as a power in its own right, and the Dauntless, silent, massive, unyielding, was the symbol of that truth. For the first time in centuries, the emissaries of the Galactic Council were wordless. The galaxy had changed in a single moment. When the TSV Dauntless appeared, the balance of power shifted. What the Galactic Council had believed about Earth, fragile, young, unprepared, was shattered. Now every emissary aboard Vaethra's Dawn carried the same image in their minds. A battleship the size of a small city, armed with weapons capable of tearing apart fleets, yet the Council was not ready to concede. Pride was woven into their history. They had ruled the stars for millennia. They would not simply bow to a species that had just stepped onto the galactic stage, and so the test began. The Council's doubt inside the private chamber aboard Vaethra's Dawn. High Envoy Talen faced the other emissaries. His voice was sharp, his tone harder than before. Do not let one ship frighten you. It may be powerful, but a single vessel cannot match the combined might of the Council. Humanity shows strength, yes, but strength without order collapses into chaos. Freikel hissed uneasily. But the humans did not reveal it by accident. They planned this. They waited for the right moment. Such patience. Such calculation. It is not the mark of recklessness. Sereth's luminous form dimmed slightly, flickering like a fading flame. I felt no fear in them, no desperation. They revealed the ship not to threaten us, but to warn us. Talen turned sharply, his eyes narrowing. Then let us test their warning. If it is only an illusion, we will expose it. If it is real, then we must know the limits of their resolve. A Council probe. On the fourth night, hidden in the cold shadows of space, the Council launched a secret probe. A small fleet of unmanned drones, sleek and silent, slipped toward the Dauntless. Each one carried advanced sensors and covert disruptors, designed to slip past defenses and study weaknesses. The emissaries believed the humans would not notice. They were wrong. The human watchers, on the bridge of the Dauntless. Captain Adrienne Vos sat calmly, her eyes fixed on the glowing display before her. Red blips marked the drones, each one moving stealthily toward the ship's perimeter. Status? She asked. Cloaked probes, Council design, her tactical officer replied, approaching at low speed. They think we are blind. Vos allowed herself a faint smile. They are testing us, very well. Let us answer. She raised her hand. Engage non-lethal response. The demonstration, the Dauntless pulsed with power. A wave of energy rippled outward from its hull. Invisible to the naked eye, but deadly precise. One by one, the Council drones froze in place. Their systems fried, their cloaks shattered. Within seconds, the entire swarm drifted powerless, caught in the gravity well of a nearby asteroid. Not a single human weapon had fired. Not a single missile had launched. It was a silent, flawless demonstration of control. The emissaries react. When the news reached Vaethra's dawn, the emissaries were stunned. Talon gripped the edge of the table, his voice sharp. They knew. They always knew. From the moment we entered the system, they tracked us. Vrikal's mandibles clicked nervously. They did not destroy the probes. They disabled them. It was a message. Sareth flickered brighter, whispering softly. The message is clear. We see you. We control the field, and we choose restraint. Silence filled the chamber. The emissaries had expected arrogance, a reckless show of firepower. Instead, humanity had shown patience, discipline, and precision. That frightened them more than any weapon, the human statement. The next day, the Council emissaries returned to Unity 1. This time, there was no carefully disguised tone of superiority. Their voices carried caution. Ambassador Hale greeted them as usual, his expression calm. Talon began stiffly. Your battleship is impressive, and your technology unexpected, but surely you must understand the danger of displaying such power. Other civilizations may see this as provocation. Hale tilted his head slightly, his words measured. Perhaps, but power unspoken invites invasion. Power revealed invites respect. We have no desire to threaten, yet we will not allow deception. His eyes met Talon's directly. We know about the drones. Talon froze. Even his years of diplomacy could not mask his shock. Hale continued, his tone calm but edged. We disabled them. We could have destroyed them. We chose not to. That is the difference between humanity's power and the power of empires built on fear. The words landed heavily. The emissaries had no reply. The test of will, despite their unease, the emissaries tried once more to assert themselves. During the next round of talks, Vrykal spoke sharply. You risk much by standing apart from the Council. Alone. Even with your great ship, you cannot survive the full weight of the galaxy. General Dev leaned forward, his gaze steady. Alone? We have never been alone. Humanity's unity built this station. Humanity's unity built the Dauntless. And unity is a shield no empire can break, Talon pressed further. And if the Council orders compliance? What then? Dev's voice was iron. Then the galaxy will learn what it means when humanity chooses to fight. The chamber fell into silence. The humans did not raise their voices, did not show rage, but their quiet certainty carried more force than any threat. The galaxy watches far across the stars. Council relays had already spread the news. A human battleship larger than any seen before. Other civilizations whispered in secret, asking the same question. Who were these humans and how had they risen so quickly? For some, hope flickered. Perhaps the Council was not unchallenged after all. Perhaps there was balance to be found in the galaxy. For others, fear grew. A new power had appeared and its path was unknown. The emissaries' realization, back aboard their flagship, the emissaries finally admitted what none wanted to say aloud. Sareth whispered, its light dim. They are not a young race. They are not new to struggle. They are forged, Vrykal added reluctantly. They prepared for us long before we came. They studied the stars, studied our patterns, and built in silence. They wanted us to underestimate them. Talon stood at the viewport, watching Earth spin below. His voice was low, heavy with realization. Perhaps we are not here to judge them. Perhaps they are judging us. The human future on the Dauntless, Captain Voss looked out into the stars. Her crew worked silently around her, disciplined and precise. She knew the truth. The battle was not fought with weapons. It was fought with patience, with resolve, with the refusal to kneel. Let them test us, she murmured. Every test only proves what we already know. Her officers nodded, their faces calm. They were not just guarding Earth. They were shaping humanity's place in the galaxy. Closing of Part 4, the Council had tested humanity. They had sent their probes, their threats, their veiled words. Humanity had answered not with fear, but with strength, control, and unity. The emissaries now understood. Earth would not be bent. Humanity's resolve was as unshakable as the steel of the Dauntless. And in the quiet after the storm, the galaxy waited, holding its breath. Because the question was no longer whether humanity could stand. The question was what humanity would do next. The galaxy held its breath. The emissaries had tested humanity and they had failed to break its calm strength. The Dauntless had shown them what waited in the shadows. A battleship built in silence, forged with unity and discipline. Now every emissary aboard Vaethra's Dawn carried the weight of realization. Humanity was no longer a species to be judged. Humanity had become a force the galaxy would have to reckon with. But the story was not yet finished. The Council still expected answers. Would Earth bend to alliance or would it stand apart? Would humanity step into the light of the galactic stage as a partner or as a rival? The uneasy gathering. The next session aboard Unity 1 carried a heaviness none could ignore. The emissaries arrived together, no longer walking with pride but with caution. Their eyes darted toward every human soldier, every symbol of Earth's authority, and most of all toward the massive shadow of the Dauntless, which lingered beyond the station like a silent guardian. Ambassador Hale sat at the head of the chamber. Beside him stood General Elias Dev, and further down the line sat Captain Adrienne Voss, summoned from the Dauntless itself. Her presence was a message in itself. The ship and its commander were not tools but symbols of will. Talon began, his voice quieter than ever before. Humanity has shown much, more than we expected. Perhaps more than we were ready to see. Ambassador Hale folded his hands, waiting. Sereth's glowing form flickered softly as it added, "The Council sent us to test you. But you have tested us instead. And we find ourselves uncertain." Hale leaned forward, his voice calm. "Then let us make it certain. Speak clearly. What does the Council want from us?" The chamber was silent for a long moment. Then Vrykel's mandibles clicked nervously as he answered, "Originally we were sent to judge if Earth could be annexed into the Council's structure. To be absorbed, controlled." General Dev's eyes narrowed. "And now?" Talon exhaled, his pride visibly strained. "Now, we see such a thing as impossible. Humanity's answer." The words hung in the air. Impossible. The Council, rulers of the stars for thousands of years, had admitted they could not bend humanity to their will. Ambassador Hale allowed the silence to deepen before speaking. "Humanity does not seek enemies, but we will never be subjects. If the Council wishes peace, then peace will be returned. If the Council seeks alliance, then alliance can be forged. But if the Council brings war," Captain Voss's voice cut in sharp as steel, "then humanity will show the galaxy what war truly is." The emissaries looked at her. There was no rage in her eyes, no boast in her words, only certainty. That certainty frightened them more than any weapon. Sereth flickered brighter, its tone careful. "Then you do not reject all cooperation?" Hale shook his head. "No, we welcome dialogue, but it must be as equals. Earth will not kneel. Earth will stand." The weight of equality. The emissaries exchanged uneasy glances. To accept Earth as an equal meant rewriting the balance of the galaxy. The Council had never granted such status to a new species so quickly. It had always been slow, deliberate, bending civilizations until they accepted subservience. But humanity was different. Humanity had walked into the chamber already prepared. Talon spoke at last, his voice carrying reluctant respect. "Then let us begin anew, not as rulers and subjects, but as two powers who must learn to live side by side." Ambassador Hale nodded once. "Then we have taken the first step." The shadow of fear, yet even as words of alliance were spoken, the emissaries could not shake their unease. They had seen the Dauntless disable a fleet of drones with a single controlled wave. They had seen Earth's leaders meet threats with calm certainty. They whispered among themselves that humanity was too bold, too swift, too unpredictable. Could the Council truly trust them? Or was Earth simply biding its time? The galaxy beyond wondered the same. Voices across the stars far away, in hidden stations and crowded markets. News spread like wildfire. The stories painted pictures of a young race who had risen in silence, who had faced the Council with unshaken resolve. To oppressed species under the Council's heavy hand, the story was hope. "If humans can stand," they whispered, "then perhaps so can we." To old rivals of the Council, the story was opportunity. "A new power has appeared," they murmured. "Perhaps the balance has shifted." And to the Council itself, the story was a warning. Humanity cannot be underestimated. The return of the emissaries. When the emissaries finally prepared to return to Council space, the farewell was strangely solemn. Sereth, its light dim but steady, spoke first. "You have changed us. Perhaps you have changed the galaxy. I cannot say whether this change will bring peace or conflict, but I know this. Your kind is not what we thought. Freecall bowed his head slightly, an unusual gesture for his proud species. You earned respect. Not by shouting, not by boasting, but by waiting, by showing restraint. That is the rarest strength of all. Even Talon, who had been the harshest, gave a slow nod. You are dangerous, humans. But danger is not always a curse. Sometimes it is the beginning of a new order. Ambassador Hale answered softly. Then let that new order be one where no species is forced to kneel. The silent battleship as Vaethra's dawn departed Earth's orbit. The Dauntless shadowed its path until the alien vessel slipped into the fold of hyperspace. To the emissaries, it was a reminder. Humanity's power would always watch, always endure. To Earth, it was a symbol. Unity could forge strength that no empire could break. Human resolve on the bridge of the Dauntless. Captain Voss stood with her officers. The ship hummed with life around them, a city of steel and fire waiting for the call. We did not fire a single shot, one officer remarked quietly. Voss nodded. And yet we won the first battle. The battle for fear? Another asked. No, Voss said firmly. The battle for respect. Her words carried across the bridge, and every crew member understood. The Council might return. Other civilizations might challenge them. But humanity had taken its first true step into the galaxy. Not as subjects, not as children, but as equals. The Council's report weeks later, the emissaries arrived back in the heart of Council space. Their report shook the chamber of leaders. Talon stood before the gathered elders and declared, Humanity cannot be controlled. Humanity cannot be absorbed. To attempt such a thing would be to court destruction. We must accept them not as a lesser race, but as an equal. The chamber erupted in debate. Some shouted in outrage, demanding that humanity be crushed before it grew further. Others spoke with fear, begging for cautious diplomacy. But all agreed on one truth. Earth could not be ignored. For the first time in centuries, the Council found itself uncertain of its own dominance. The dawn of a new age back on Earth, the people celebrated quietly. They knew their leaders had not won a war, but something greater. They had won the right to stand tall among the stars. In the cities, in the colonies, in the stations orbiting the Moon and Mars, people looked up and whispered, We are not alone anymore. And we are ready. Children pointed at the stars, no longer with wonder alone, but with purpose. Soldiers stood with pride, knowing their strength had secured peace without firing a shot. Scientists worked harder, knowing their discoveries now carried the weight of a galaxy's attention. And the Dauntless remained in the skies, a steel guardian of humanity's future. Closing of Part 5, the Galactic visitors had fallen wordless when humanity's battleship appeared. They had tested humanity with deception and threats, and in the end, they had walked away not as conquerors, but as humbled witnesses to a power they had not expected. Humanity stood unbent, unbroken, and undeniable. The galaxy had changed. A new balance had begun, and it was only the first step of the human journey among the stars.